What is going on, Alpha Hunters? Hopefully, is having a terrific Thursday. We are seeing some pretty good action on the market today. We actually have things not moving together as far as like a lot of the major indices, and I think it's going to give us a great opportunity to really kind of see what is going on. So this is and it's great. It's great when you get days like this because there are things that typically lead the market in up moves or down moves. But we got a nice little gap up here on the SPY. Very nice, 0.2% gap up. Nothing crazy, right? Nice little pullback there. Got negative first 20 minutes, kind of chopped around there for a while. Very slow chop down to the lows of the day for the next few hours then. Even the past hour has been kind of choppy. Nothing crazy today, really, on the SPY. And you're going to see some of the other indices actually look really bullish, some that don't. Some look rather bearish. Qs, look at the Qs, man. The Qs, for how much they crushed it in November, really even since the end of October. A little bit of a gap up here, even bullish there in that first 5 minutes. Nice little 0.1% gap up, but they got crushed after that. 30 minutes, they were down pretty good. How much were they down at the end of the 30 minutes? They were down 0.6%. So, yeah, kind of an interesting day there. And this is something that we were seeing go on here over the past week, right? We were seeing rotation out of semiconductors, going all the way back to last week when NVIDIA had earnings. And we were seeing some of that bearishness even in the Qs yesterday. We were seeing some of those big tech stocks even be weak this, or a little bit more bearish than the rest of the market. One of the things that we looked at yesterday was really sector performance over the past 5 days, or going back to last Wednesday's morning, the morning of last Wednesday, which is basically the morning when Nvidia started trading after its earnings, and we hadn't seen big tech perform well over that time period. But we've seen a lot of other things actually do pretty decent. But yeah, the Q's down pretty good, about down 0.85% roughly right now. They were just down 0.9% just a little bit ago. They've been down as much as 1%. I did see that. Let's see, yeah, 1%. Yeah, right there at the low of the day is basically down 1%. So if we get back down to the low of the day, hit that about 30 minutes ago. That would be back down to about 1% down on the day. IWM's up 0.33%, up 1/3 on the day. Very nice little gap up here, dropped off very sharply and then bounced back up to the high of the day. I think this thing was up 1% up at the high of the day, if I do remember. It got close. It got up to 0.92 positive on the day. That was the high. Yeah, kind of interesting day there on the IWM. DIA though, this is the one. Like, talking about the SPY, the Qs, kind of trending down throughout the day. Very choppy at that. But the DIA, look at this sucker moving. So we're going to take a look at like UNH, see what's going on in some other areas. But 0.5% gap up, but it's up 0.9% now. It was up about 1% up at the high of the day. So yeah, the Dow Jones crushing today. The equal weight SP 500. See the difference? Look here on the RSP and the SPY. The SPY, which has that huge weighting into those tech names, just kind of downward trending throughout the day. You see the Qs really getting crushed today, and the RSP, like, we got a lot of movement into the other 99% of stocks out there. So yeah, we are seeing some pretty good, money probably flowing into a lot of those names. And we're going to see a lot of green on the heat map, right? I'd imagine we probably do see quite a bit of green. Yeah, UNH makes sense. UNH makes sense. This is what's really driving the DIA, the Dow Jones, to be higher, is UNH. This is the largest weighting on the Dow Jones. But you're seeing quite a bit of green out there. It's just not the big tech stuff, right? So let me see if we can. Okay. I was even wanting to no groupings. I see more green than red. It's a lot of neutrality as well. I see a lot more green than red. So this is just taking a look at the 500 stocks. Maybe it's 498. I'm not sure. It looks like we're missing two. so so not not the worst. I don't even know how. I gotta put groups back on. So we're seeing quite a bit of green, especially out there in financials, healthcare, manufacturing, that kind of stuff. So we'll take a look around at some different stocks. But I just kind of wanted to show you that this is what happens when you get that big weighting, and even though there's you get the equal weight outperforming pretty good, you're just kind of at the mercy of the big dogs. So let's take a look here. RSP. Okay, so the RSP is just very slowly grinding through here. Kind of mentioned a couple weeks ago, getting into this lower level. Like the upside, in my opinion, just not really there, and it's just kind of slowly kind of grinded higher. It might come up to this downward trending line, but to me, there just wasn't a lot of upside. And for how slow it's kind of been grinding through here, yeah, I'm kind of would have been glad to just sit on the sidelines and just let that do its thing. Um, DIA though, I mean, look at that move. Look at that move today. I mean, clearly breaking August highs. Uh, DIA hitting a 52-week high today. I wonder if that's making news. Maybe not. Dow pops as the Fed's favorite inflation gauge cools. Okay, so a little bit of news there, but yeah, the Dow up at the 52-week high, and the S&P 500 hasn't hit that yet. So IWM definitely has not. The IWM definitely has not. For how strong of a move some of these days have been here for the IWM over the past month, this downtrend was kind of brutal for it. So, yeah, I don't really know about the IWM right here, but kind of just in a no man's land right spot right there. The Qs, this is this is the one, right? Kind of was talking about this yesterday. That high that we put in yesterday might have been it on the morning, and a lot of that had to do with a very solid gap up. But man, we just started seeing real bearishness come in on the Qs. So we might set up a little bit more of a consolidation here. Obviously, we haven't really moved out of this price range that we've kind of been in over the past 2 weeks. Like we're still kind of in it. So we still just might be consolidating for a longer period of time, or breaking down the past, at least the past week's lows. Obviously, we haven't gotten below last week's low, last Monday, that low. We haven't gotten below that yet. Let me check. We do have a little bit of a lower wick. Come see. We got low last Monday of 386.05. Today's low 385.82. So yeah, we did actually break that low of last Monday, and that was a perfect shaved bottom last Monday. So we did actually come down and have now finally broken that low, but we haven't gone much farther. Right? It's kind of like the spot where we got to, and then we kind of stopped. So we might see some consolidation here. Maybe we roll down a little bit more. Nice sideways movement here on the SPY over the past week, really since the end of last week. I believe, what was it, Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday last week. Friday, not really much. Monday, not really much going on. Tuesday, a little bit more activity started coming in. And then you see Wednesday, nice gap up, but it's sold right off. So we might see some more consolidation, and then maybe we push higher. But the 10 moving average obviously coming up is going to really help. But I think we're going to start to slowly chop back down through the month of December. I don't think we're going to see crazy bearishness until we probably get to the new year. I don't think there will be any reason for us to see a crazy bearish December, but I don't see us being crazy bullish either. So it's kind of my take on the markets right now. How that works with RSP. I think if the market goes bearish, I think that's more. I think you're going to want to have, if you pick between the RSP and the SPY and the Qs, I think the RSP would outperform because I think tech's going to get hit if we do see bearishness over the next, say, 3-4 months as we go into Q1. All right. VIX moving a little bit higher today. Still kind of down at these lower levels below 14. So, okay. VIX starting to curl up a little bit. The dollar bouncing back very sharply. Wow. That was a very solid spot it bounced at, right? It came down to that 62 retracement level, and it bounced very hard off of that level. So, yeah, there you go. It came down to that line, and that's where it bounced. And it's kind of funny. That's where it hit. It hit there early in the trading day on Wednesday. So Wednesday's trading day that actually started Tuesday evening. Very, 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 very quick retest into that spot, and then it bounced. We'll see if this is the change of pace or the change of trend here for the DXY, because that's a very strong move there, up 0.6%. Gold, along with that, down a little bit. So if dollar starts to rally here, gold's going to have a little bit of an issue going higher. Just have to see how that plays out. U.S. 10-year yield, broke down, kind of as mentioned, coming into this kind of like top area that we hit back about a year ago, back in October of last year. So now we kind of broke out. This is the retest into that level. Now looks like we're having a bullish engulfing candle here, day over day. So, I mean, if you want to be aggressive, you could play bullish yields here. I would want to wait a little bit longer, just in my opinion, because you're going to have downward trending lines here, moving averages. You're also going to have a pretty good resistance level here as well at around the 4.4. So I would rather wait just a little bit, but I mean, it is a bullish engulfing at a retest spot. Not looking the worst, but that would be pretty aggressive. So how would that look for bonds? Well, 10-2 inversion looking pretty good, moving higher as well. So the 2-year yield is not bouncing as much as the 10-year yield, right? So if we look at the 2-year real quick, so it's not bouncing as much as the 10-year. So you can see the 10 years actually up 1.9% on the day. 2 years actually up 1.3% or thereabouts on the day. So how does that look for the bonds? Well, obviously bonds will be down if yields are up. And, we talked about this yesterday. Huge breakout here for the HYG. Basically getting into the highs that we've seen since, we haven't seen these highs since, early February. So kind of an interesting spot that we got there. But I mean, if we just moved all that way and we just basically just took that level and then it was just a false breakout, and now we start to roll back down, I mean, people are going to see that and it's just going to look like a false breakout. So kind of interesting look there. I was really kind of surprised we didn't consolidate a little bit more before we pushed up. We just went and screamed and took these highs from the past like 7 months. LQD also down pretty good. Definitely have some open gaps in the lower levels. Okay. This is also a pretty good spot. Kind of all in this area was going to be a pretty good resistance. We've kind of been screaming through a lot of it. A lot of these different support and resistance levels in here. We had been screaming through quite a bit of them, and maybe now we've gotten to a spot where that's a pretty good resistance level. So you can see a lot of the volume coming in today. Also, a lot of volume coming in today. Would HYG have that much volume? HYG doesn't have that much volume, but the LQD has quite a bit of volume coming in there. What about the TLT? TLT has definitely been the one underperforming for most of the year. Definitely not having a lot of volume today, even though it had that breakout day yesterday. And remember, yesterday kind of kind of drew this upper rising wedge here, and I said, watch out if it kind of hangs out a couple days and it rolls over. Well, it didn't even hang up a couple days. It just the next day it's come back down. So some weird things there on bonds. There's a lot of false breakouts. Even this rising wedge false breakout. So yeah, I mean, people are going to notice that. I'd be curious to see what goes on here with bonds tomorrow as well. Because yeah, yields definitely bouncing pretty good today. Take a look at that sector rotation. Looks like we're seeing some pretty good bounce here on the market, so that's good. See what's bouncing here over the past 15 minutes or so. Sector performance. All right. So we got energies. Energies early on were very hot. Wow. They were hot early and then they came back down. All right. So underperforming for the day makes sense. Big tech, right? Qs are down pretty good. SPY's lagging behind. The RSP is outperforming pretty good. So it makes sense. XLK, XLY, XLC all underperforming. We even did look at that heat map. Basically, all the big tech stocks are just getting hit pretty hard today. XLU is outperforming. Energies outperforming. Staples outperforming. Real estate's outperforming, which is kind of interesting because real estate's been outperforming here over the past few weeks while yields have been coming down, but yields ain't, they're not dropping today. Financials, materials, healthcare, industrials all outperforming. So it makes sense for healthcare to probably be up at the top side because of UNH, and also just helping the Dow Jones, the DIA, really kind of help out. So you can see what's really performed well here over the past 20 minutes or so. It's been the big tech names, right? They all have that pivot. They all are trending up over the past 20 minutes. Not to say that there's not some of these others that are outperforming on the day, but not really. Some of these up at the higher levels do have a little bit of that pivot and then moved up over the past 20 minutes, but not as much, man. It's all that XLK, XLY, XLC weighting really kind of pushing the market around. See, without the gap, so energies did pop on the open. On the open of the day. Energies since then have actually underperformed. Everything else that's underperformed for the day is still down there. Utilities kind of having a little bit of bearishness here over the past 30 minutes. Everything else is still outperforming. So that kind of, okay, makes sense. Okay.